The US State Department, under orders from Donald Trump, sent a 5-person delegation to Britain, not to discuss trade, not to talk about the special relationship, but to investigate whether free speech is being crushed here in the UK. Hi, I'm Patrick Christys, and this is GBN Original. So why is this happening? Well, because in 2025, we're arresting people for praying silently outside abortion clinics. In my opinion, we're locking up pensioners for thought crimes, and the government, led by Sir Keir Starmer, is acting like there's absolutely nothing to see here. Let's just break down the facts. So the US delegation, led by Samuel Sampson, so good they've nearly named him twice, from the Bureau of Democracy, Human Rights and Labour, spent days in London. They met with 5 British activists: Isabel Vaughan-Spruce, Rose Doherty, Adam Smith-Connor, Livia Tisici-Bolt, and Father Sean Goff, a Catholic priest. What was their crime? It's not violence, no, not intimidation, no, not money laundering, drug abuse, no, nothing like that. They weren't even chanting anything. No, these people were arrested for silently praying or offering a conversation outside abortion clinics. No placards, no shouting, just standing there, in some cases, simply thinking prayers in their own heads. Take Rose Doherty, a 74-year-old grandmother. She was arrested outside Queen Elizabeth University Hospital in Glasgow, the first person charged under Scotland's new buffer zone law. Her words: "All I did was stand peacefully offering consensual conversation to anyone who wanted to take up my offer to talk. I didn't break the law, I didn't influence, I didn't harass, I didn't intimidate, and yet I was arrested just for standing there peacefully within 200 metres of a hospital. This can't be just." Isabel Vaughan-Spruce, well, arrested for praying silently in Birmingham. Not a word spoken, no sign, just arrested for what she was thinking. Released without charge, but not before the US Commission on International Religious Freedom condemned the case for targeting religious expression. Let's have a look at Adam Smith-Connor, an army veteran actually, convicted for praying silently outside a Bournemouth clinic. 2-year conditional discharge he's got. His crime? Breaching a protest ban in a buffer zone. Livia Tisici-Bolt, another campaigner, handed a 2-year conditional discharge and £20,000 in costs for doing the same thing. This isn't about whether or not you agree with their views on abortion. I know it's a very, very contentious issue, and for a lot of people, it's a matter of conscience or religion. But this is about whether you can be arrested for what's going on in your head. Now, you might think this is just a few isolated cases, a bit of local council overreach, but the Americans, yes, the Americans, are treating this as a crisis. Vice President J.D. Vance, standing in the Oval Office, told Sir Keir Starmer to his face, free speech in Britain and across Europe is in retreat. He even cited Smith-Connor's case as proof. If Starmer wants to keep Britain open for business, he'll have to stop criminalising peaceful protest and private prayer. And if you think this is just about abortion, well, look, think again, because the Americans are also up in arms about the case of Lucy Connolly, who was jailed for 31 months for a tweet after the horrific Southport attack. She called for mass deportations. She said that people could set fire to the asylum hotels for all she cares. That was the main point there, for all she cares. Well, she pleaded guilty to inciting racial hatred, which she now regrets doing. But now the US officials are saying that she's a political prisoner. The Free Speech Union funded her appeal. Nigel Farage says that this is proof that two-tier Britain is here and that my American friends cannot believe what is happening in the UK. So what's the government's response? Well, Sir Keir Starmer, when confronted by President Trump's team, said, well, we've had free speech for a very, very long time in the UK, and it will last for a very, very long time. I'm very proud of our history here. Well, Sir Keir, history's nice. But what about right now? What about the reality? Because right now, the world thinks we have a big problem with free speech in Britain. In fact, Brits think we have a big problem with free speech in Britain. The only people who don't are the ones wearing a red rosette. Let's not forget the Online Safety Act. The Americans are very worried about that too. Elon Musk is raising alarm bells about online regulation in the UK. The US delegation grilled Ofcom about it, calling it a threat to free expression and a danger to US tech companies. Well, if you think this is just about stopping hate speech, again, think again. Because the Online Safety Act is a blank check for state-sponsored censorship. It's about giving unelected bureaucrats the power to decide what you can say online, what jokes you can make, what opinions you're allowed to hold. Let's be clear, it's not about the right or the left. This isn't about abortion or immigration. This is about whether you, your family, your neighbours, your future children can speak your mind without fear of arrest, prosecution, or ruin, both financially and reputationally. The activists targeted by the state have been defended by the Alliance Defending Freedom, a US-based group. Their legal counsel, Lorcan Price, put it perfectly. They said, because these peaceful individuals held thoughts and beliefs of which the state disapproved, they find themselves fighting to defend their very right to free thought. Now, fellow Western nations are noticing this erosion of freedom, and we should take heed. Their words. If we don't stand up now, we risk sleepwalking into a country where only state-approved opinions are allowed, where silent prayer is a crime, where a tweet can land you in jail for years, where the government decides what's acceptable to think. Here's the bottom line. The world is watching here in Britain now, and just to say something on this, the world has always watched Britain, and it's very often watched Britain very enviously. We've led the world in things like culture, music, sport, democracy, all of these things, even at times, for a bit anyway, militarily. But now, they're not looking at us like that anymore, are they? They're looking at us and they're worried, or they're laughing. The Americans are watching. If we don't defend free speech now, we'll lose more than just a trade deal. We'll lose as well what it means to be British. Britain used to be that beacon of liberty. Now we're being schooled by the Americans on our own soil. And as much as I am favourable towards the Trump regime, I don't particularly like the idea of anyone else schooling us. It's embarrassing. It's outrageous. And it has to stop. If you value your freedom, if you believe in the right to think, speak and pray as you choose, even for those people who you fundamentally disagree with, then now is the time to speak up and speak out. Because without free speech, there's no democracy. Without democracy, there's no Britain, is there? Thank you very much for watching. This has been Patrick Christie's. And if you care about free speech, please don't forget to subscribe to the GB News YouTube channel to stay bang up to date. And let's keep this conversation alive. At GB News, we believe in the power of free speech. We're not afraid to ask the tough questions, challenge the status quo, and give you a voice. While others silence dissent, we champion the truth. By becoming a GB News member, you're not just supporting free speech, you're defending it. Please consider supporting us today. Together, we'll hold the powerful to account and make sure that your voice is always heard. Simply go to gbnews.com/support and stand with us for what matters most.